Shame is one of the oldest human emotions. Long before the internet existed, shame was used to control behavior, protect social order, and teach people what was acceptable. But today, shame has evolved. It is no longer private, it is no longer temporary, and it is no longer human-sized. Today, shame is digital. A single mistake, a misunderstood moment, a sentence taken out of context, and suddenly millions of strangers are watching, judging, commenting, deciding who you are. This is the psychology of internet shame. Internet shame doesn't begin with cruelty. It begins with attention. A post starts circulating, a clip spreads, a screenshot escapes its original space. People feel curious at first, then amused, then outraged, then righteous. And that feeling is powerful. Because shaming someone online doesn't feel like bullying, it feels like justice. The human brain is wired to seek belonging. For most of human history, being rejected by the group meant danger.
So when the internet collectively turns against someone, the brain reacts as if survival itself is threatened. Heart rate increases, stress hormones flood the body, sleep disappears. The body cannot tell the difference between physical danger and social destruction. Public shame triggers the same neural pathways as physical pain. The brain experiences it as injury. But unlike physical pain, there is no visible wound, which makes it harder for others to empathize. One of the most disturbing parts of internet shame is how quickly strangers feel entitled to participate. They do not know the person. They do not know the full story. They do not know the consequences. But the comment section creates a crowd, and crowds change behavior. Psychologists call this de-individuation. When people feel anonymous, they lose self-awareness. Moral responsibility dissolves. People say things online they would never say face-to-face.
Not because they are evil, but because the environment removes consequences. Another force is moral licensing. When someone believes they are on the right side, they feel justified in cruelty. The target becomes a symbol, not a person, and symbols are easy to destroy. Internet shame spreads faster than empathy because outrage is contagious. The brain rewards outrage with dopamine. Each comment feels meaningful. Each share feels powerful. The system encourages participation. Silence feels like approval, so people join in. But here is what rarely gets discussed. Shame does not correct behavior. Shame silences it. When someone is publicly shamed, they do not reflect. They retreat. They isolate. They dissociate. They disappear. Research shows that chronic shame is linked to anxiety, depression, and long-term identity damage. People begin to see themselves through the eyes of their worst critics. And once that happens, self-trust collapses.
The internet does not allow recovery. Mistakes used to fade with time. Now they are searchable. Screenshots freeze moments forever. A person may grow, learn, and change, but the internet remembers only the version that created the strongest reaction. This creates something psychologists call identity foreclosure. When a person is permanently labeled, they lose the freedom to redefine themselves. They become trapped inside the story others tell about them. Another psychological consequence is hypervigilance. Shamed individuals become constantly alert. Every notification feels threatening. Every message feels dangerous. The nervous system never rests. Even years later, the fear remains. What makes internet shame especially damaging is its unpredictability. There is no clear endpoint. No sentence. No resolution. No forgiveness ceremony. The punishment continues silently. Many people assume public shaming only affects public figures. This is not true.
Ordinary people lose jobs. Relationships collapse. Families are dragged into scrutiny. Children inherit the shame of their parents, all from a moment that escaped context. And yet, most participants feel nothing afterward. They move on to the next controversy, the next outrage, the next target. Shame is outsourced, but consequences are localized. This is where the psychology becomes uncomfortable. Shame bonds the crowd. It creates a shared enemy, a sense of moral superiority. For a brief moment, people feel united. But unity built on destruction requires constant victims. Social platforms unintentionally reward this behavior. Posts with outrage perform better. Comments multiply faster. Visibility increases. The system learns what keeps people engaged, and it learns quickly. Over time, users adapt. They anticipate outrage. They perform it. They exaggerate it. because attention is survival in digital spaces. But something else happens too. People become afraid.
Afraid to speak. Afraid to ask questions. Afraid to be misunderstood. Creativity shrinks. Nuance disappears. Silence becomes safer than honesty. This is the hidden cost of internet shame, not just to individuals, but to culture. A society built on fear cannot think freely. So what can break the cycle? Psychologists suggest one powerful interruption. Pause. Shame requires speed. Speed removes reflection. Speed removes empathy. Slowing down restores humanity. Asking simple questions changes everything. Do I know the full story? Would I say this face to face? Am I trying to help or to feel superior? Empathy does not mean approval. Understanding is not endorsement. It is recognition that humans are more than their worst moment. The psychology of shame tells us something important. People rarely change because they are humiliated. They change when they feel safe enough to reflect. The internet is still young. Our brains are ancient.
And we are still learning how dangerous mass judgment can be. The next time you see someone being shamed online, remember this. Behind the screen is a nervous system trying to survive. Shame spreads fast, but empathy spreads quietly. And sometimes, quiet resistance is the most powerful act of all.